fresh from the beach while playing a round of speed chess with death. It's the IGN Digigods. And now please welcome two guys who prefer their seventh sign from their seventh seal, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Yeah, that's from, let's, Corey, who sent that in? Corey? I don't know. I think Corey might have been eaten by a spider when we were saying that. Corey, are you there?
That gem was mined up by Mario Mendez.
See, that was my reference to Big Ass Spider made by Mario's brother, Mike Mendez. And there's a Lavalantula coming up. Did you know that?
What?
Lavalantula, Big Ass Spider sequel.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Look for it, Lavalantula, right? It's a great title. It's kind of like Sharknado or something. Lavalantula, I like that. And it's going to be it's a sci-fi thing. So, yeah, cool. Can't wait. Cannot wait. It's, like Sharknado was a deal. It's Lavalantula.
Are you talking to yourself?
No, I'm talking to you.
What's Lavalantula? What are you doing?
It's a tarantula that comes out of a volcano or something. Or it spits lava, or it's a lavalantula.
You are making that up.
Whatever. Anyway, so there's this podcast where they're supposed to talk about DVDs and Blu-rays, and it's a thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're completely
I'm waiting for you to
distracted.
stop. I'm checking my phone because you're talking about lamptula or something. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Talk about Blu-rays, please. That's why we're here.
You know what? We got a whole ton of classic stuff that we have not gotten to, and I have in my hands enough chit chat. No more chit chat.
Oh, you know what? I was really enjoying our chit chat about Lavalantula.
I need to talk about a Criterion. We're just going to get right into it today. We have a Vox box, by the way. Not yet. We have a Vox box, but I want to get right into it because this is a fantastic Criterion. John Ford did not make all gems, but he made a lot of gems, and most of them were with John Wayne, but not all of them were with John Wayne. And in 1946, he made one without John Wayne that is absolutely first rate, because this one has Henry Fonda. And I am of course, talking about My Darling Clementine, which is a truly amazing film. This is John Ford's interpretation of the whole shootout at the OK Corral and all that stuff. And Henry Fonda, of course, plays, now that Mark has left the room, he plays Mark's idol. And as we all know, Mark's hero of all time is Mark. Oh, Mark, you're not here to answer the question. Well, see.
Wait, I was getting some iced tea.
See, there you go.
I'm back. I was getting iced tea. Sorry.
You're getting iced tea. Okay. Who's your favorite figure of all time in history?
In history?
In history. You love this dude. You love him and all of his...
Did you want me to say Wyatt Earp?
Yes.
I don't know if he's my favorite in history.
He is.
But I have heard a lot about Wyatt Earp.
Well, Henry Fonda plays Wyatt Earp in My Darling Clementine.
Well, he was a lot older than... Wyatt Earp was a young man.
Yeah.
Part of Wyatt Earp's legend, the reason why he was such a legend is that even after all of this, he was like one of the only really popular, really well-known frontier sheriffs who never got shot.
Well, anyway, the whole OK Corral thing has been done in so many it's been done so many times in movies.
And everybody thinks they're doing the definitive one.
Yeah, but you know what? My Darling Clementine, I've seen the James Garner bit and Shootout at the OK Corral, and obviously I've seen Tombstone, and I've seen Wyatt Earp, and I've seen this. So I've seen like every movie on this. I've even seen the Star Trek episode, Spectre of the Gun.
Yeah, Spectre of the Gun, damn right.
Which is probably closer to the truth than any of the others, because Chekhov really did get shot. He really did. That really happened.
Look, plenty of people got shot in the gunfight, except for Wyatt.
But this is such a great film. It's just such a great film. It just feels right. Even if it's historically not right, it just feels right. And it's beautifully made. It's just John Ford doing his very, very best. And Victor Mature is a great Doc Holliday. I mean, he's right up there with the best. And tons of special features on this thing, including a new video essay by a Ford scholar named Tag Gallagher, a great audio commentary with Joe McBride, who is you never knew Joe because he was well gone from LAFCA when you joined, but we interviewed Joe in our documentary Schlock. And Joe is just a scholar and a gentleman, and I love him to death. He's wonderful, and the commentary is just classic Joe McBride, very low-key, but loaded with all those facts that Joe carries around in his head, and it's just does a beautiful job.
You know what's amazing about the gunfight?
Huh.
It's not just the gunfight, but the aftermath.
Yes, exactly.
Because the aftermath, two of Wyatt's brothers were murdered.
Yeah.
Right? And then after the brothers are murdered, Wyatt goes on what is now called the Vendetta Ride, and he goes and tries to find the Clantons and what I forgot his name, Stillwell or something like that, who committed the murders.
Yeah.
So you've got the gunfight, you've got the murder after the gunfight of Wyatt's brother, and then you've got Wyatt seeking revenge in the Vendetta Ride.
Yep.
So it's a lot of great stuff going on, that whole little pocket of time.
Well, there's great stuff here. You get a radio adaptation from 1947 with Henry Fonda. You get some NBC television reports from 63 and 75 about Tombstone and Monument Valley. You also get a comparison on here, a restoration comparison, which is great. This is just wonderful. And the thing that's important to remember is this is a 4K transfer. So it's just absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful. It is an uncompressed mono soundtrack. It's just the whole thing is absolutely fantastic, and it just doesn't get any better than My Darling Clementine. It's one of the great westerns of all time, and John Ford at his very best, Henry Fonda at his very, very best. So really, really good stuff. And then also an interesting little, as far as classic movie tidbit that we have here, Bill Morrison, Collected Works, 1996 to 2013. Bill Morrison is an experimental filmmaker, and you probably are not that familiar with him. Most people weren't until he made Decasia, which is this weird experimental film work with like decaying film. And that kind of put him on the map. He is certainly now considered one of the preeminent experimental filmmakers. He's one of the few that does not offend me. You get the Blu-ray of Decasia here, and then 4 DVDs with the rest of his work, all the way going back into the 90s, and most of it in the 2000s. And it doesn't offend me. It doesn't necessarily really thrill me, but I don't find him cloying and. He doesn't have that thing that experimental filmmakers usually have, where he's just completely consumed with his own self-importance, and he's really just trying to do interesting work, and it's much of it is really diverting. So other stuff here includes Light is Calling from 2004, which is just a brief little 8-minute thing that's pretty interesting. You get the half-hour High Water Trilogy from 2006. Which is pretty good. The Mesmerist, a 16-minute film from 2003, is pretty good. And the Miner's Hymns, which is an hour-long effort from 2011, is also quite good. So some interesting stuff if you're into experimental film. Bill Morrison, Collected Works, 1996 2013, from the good people at Icarus Films.
Wait, from the good people at Kino. We always love Kino. Interesting film that I would recommend renting if you're into historical type dealies. We have from the pre-code era, The Death Kiss. This is with Bela Lugosi. He plays it's a bit of a comedy thriller type thing. It's an interesting movie. It's Bela Lugosi plays he's a studio head, and one of the actors in one of his movies is killed while filming the very last scene of the movie, and the suspects are 3 women. So the screenwriter decides to take it upon himself to find out who killed this actor, and it's fun. It's a fun little movie. It's a mystery, and it keeps you guessing until the very end. And Bela Lugosi and a couple of the actors in here had just come from Dracula, which was released, I believe, the previous year. So they all sort of reunited for this like low budget little lark called The Death Kiss. And it's great. And Kino, of course, completely respects the original elements. It's a 35mm restoration. And some of the scenes here were hand-tinted, and the Blu-ray contains those hand-tinted scenes.
Nice.
And it's good. It's a good little movie. It's an interesting little slice of Hollywood history. So check out, if you're into, especially pre-code stuff, check out The Death Kiss.
I am really enjoying a lot more pre-code stuff. I really am. There's just not enough of it out there. A lot of it you have to stream. A lot of it is.
I remember going to there was a pre-code film festival at the Hammer.
Yeah.
In Westwood.
Yeah.
And you got to see like Clark Gable looking like he's 19 years old. A lot of these pre-code films.
I know.
It was really
it's amazing.
Great.
Cary Grant, looked like he was about 16. It's amazing when you see them. So here's a movie that just vanished from everybody's radar for the longest time, and it's back, thank goodness, and it deserves to be back. And my question is, what has happened to Charles Lane? Do you remember Charles Lane in Sidewalk Stories? Do you remember this?
Vaguely at this point.
Sidewalk Stories, 1989, an amazing black and white silent film. Charles Lane was this, he was this incredible guy. He was like the next generation of independent filmmaker at the time. And he was certainly, this was a time when again, the 80s, Spike Lee was kind of the definitive black independent filmmaker at the time. And Charles Lane was like this antithetical figure. He came out and he made a film that was in no way even remotely connected to, it wasn't meant to be he wasn't like a racial filmmaker. He wasn't like Spike Lee. He wasn't tackling these kinds of things. It was a much more universal and yet kind of a nostalgic throwback to silent films. I mean, he was an amazing figure. And I'm like, what happened to Charles Lane? So Sidewalk Stories out finally on Blu-ray. And it is just a wonderful Chaplin-esque black and white silent film. Just beautiful, beautiful. And I got to thinking, what has happened to Charles Lane? I want to know what happened to him. So Charles Lane has not done anything since True Identity, which he made 2 years after Sidewalk Stories. He did a little episode of American Playhouse in '93. And for 20 years, he has done nothing. He apparently has 2 projects that are in development, but otherwise, he's done nothing for 20 years.
That's ridiculous.
This is like a guy who was supposed to be the future of American independent film, and for 20 years, he vanished. I don't know what happened.
What happened was if he had hit now, you wonder if he would have had an easier time.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. Because
anyway,
again, independent filmmaking is even more.
This is a beautiful Blu-ray, wonderful transfer, and it is my earnest hope that somebody gives Charles Lane a chance to make one of his movies again, because the guy is just wonderful. He's a true visionary.
Wade, I wouldn't call Roger Corman a visionary, but in a way I would.
Yeah.
Because he's Roger Corman. And, we all know Roger Corman from bunch of low-budget crap that he's either directed or produced, but he did direct a couple decent films. More than a couple, actually. And one of them is Bloody Mama from 1970.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody Mama is a terrific film that is finally out on Blu-ray, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
Yeah.
From the good folks at 20th. And what we have is it stars Shelley Winters as Ma Barker.
Yep.
And, again, this is 1970, so you have Shelley Winters as Ma Barker and her 4 sons. They decide to leave the Ozarks and go on a killing spree in Depression era, during the Depression era. Mm-hmm. And again, 1970, so you got one of her sons is played by an actor you may have heard of, Robert DeNiro. And also Bruce Dern shows up. Bruce Dern, of course, nominated for an Oscar last year for Nebraska. He plays this guy who kind of comes into the story and then leaves. But still, it's a terrific film. Corman's got a lot of energy. It's all low budget, but it's just a lot of style. And Shelley Winters is great because when you don't have a budget, what you need is like really flamboyant actors who just own their roles. And Shelley Winters is nothing if not an actress who always owned her roles. And it's good. It's a good little movie. It's a little piece of independent filmmaking history. Bloody Mama. And there's an interview with Corman on the Blu-ray, and I recommend, at least as a rental, kind of like the Lugosi film. If you're interested in kind of movie history and, where these films, where the films of today came from, the filmmakers who you love actually were influenced by filmmakers like Roger Corman, including James Cameron, who came out of the Corman factory. A million of these guys came out of the Corman factory. So if you want to see a film that Corman directed, which is pretty good, you should check out Bloody Mama.
So we also have Once Upon a Time in America, extended director's cut. Long overdue. About time this showed up. I've got to say, I still don't feel like this is. I feel like there's a better transfer of this film. It's really good. Warner Brothers always does really good work. This is still really top notch. However, I saw the film projected. I saw the original 1984 butchered cut that Warner Brothers released when they, slashed the thing down to whatever it was from, its original 4-hour running time to like 2.5 or whatever they wound up releasing. And it made no sense. And it was all linear and it was horrible. You just felt like it was a greatest hits tour of these guys. And then eventually I saw the 4-hour and 11-minute director's cut in a pristine print, and it's spectacular. And you realize there's just this amazing epic vision that's going on here, and it just belongs right alongside, Godfather 1 and 2 and every other great gangster epic, and it's certainly one of Leone's best films. Whatever that projection had, this doesn't quite have, but I don't know, maybe they'll there's a special edition a couple of years away where they'll go back and they'll fix some of the things that are not quite right here. A lot of it's mostly lighting stuff. It just feels a little bit too Blu-ray crisp, and other areas feel a little bit like...
that feels like they did some... they figured, it's kind of old, and maybe the print we're dealing with is not pristine, so let's go and add some edge enhancements.
Yeah, whatever... Let me put it this way. The Blu-ray release of Heaven's Gate does everything right that I wish they would have done with this. So whoever did Heaven's Gate for Blu-ray, get those people to do that on this. That's what I would say. Or just turn this over to the Criterion people. But Warner Brothers will never do that. Anyway, just wonderful. It is, one of the great classic all-time films, and Leone's the man, and there you go. There you have it. Let's see here. Why don't I go through some Olive releases? We've got new stuff from Olive that is, it's an interesting collection of stuff. Nothing here that I think is really earth-shattering, but some good old classic films with stars that, might be worth rediscovering if you love these stars. Gary Cooper in Distant Drums. Again, this is an aging Gary Cooper, and not exactly his greatest moment, but it's a Western that takes place in the Everglades, and it's got its moments from 1951. Looks pretty good on Blu-ray. Colors are nice and crisp. We have Ginger Rogers and David Niven, along with the ever old Burgess Meredith in Magnificent Doll from 1946. This is the it's the Kitty Kelly mode for Ginger Rogers. She kind of does this in a few films, and I think it politically and in terms of most of its other issues, it doesn't date terribly well. This is basically set during the early history of America, and it's about a woman who was caught between Aaron Burr and James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, and she's sort of she's in the mix. And I'll let you see the movie and kind of put all the pieces together. It's worth watching. Again, not a masterpiece by any stretch. Don Amici and Catherine McLeod, who's been completely forgotten by history, and Frank Borzegui's That's My Man. Good. This is a good, solid little classic film from 1947. Well written, very well acted. But for whatever reason, I don't really know why Catherine McLeod just sort of vanished from everybody's radar. I mean, this got a lot of attention at the time, got some Oscar nominations, and their chemistry is wonderful. Don Amici basically plays this bookkeeper with aspirations to be a racehorse maven. And as far as movies with a racing theme, I mean, it's certainly one of the better ones. So I don't know why it doesn't kind of vanished. And then Catherine McLeod also shows up in I've Always Loved You with Philip Dorn and William Carter. This is even more forgotten than the last one. This is from 1946, also directed by Frank Borzage, and it's about Philip Dorn plays this really famous conductor. And Catherine McLeod is the woman that he just cannot let go of. He's just obsessed with her. And I don't know if naming him Leopold was meant to reference Leopold Stokowski, but there certainly seems to be a little wink and nudge, because Stokowski was kind of this amazingly powerful maestro figure. Anyway. And Arthur Rubinstein plays the musical pieces in this, and Arthur Rubinstein, one of the great piano virtuosos of all time. So you definitely want to get this for the music, I would say. Just for the music alone, you want to check it out. And then a little bit more on the camp side is the very enjoyable High School Confidential, which stars Russ Tamblyn of West Side Story fame, father of Amber Tamblyn. And this is, Russ Tamblyn, apart from West Side Story, made a lot of really cheesy stuff. And this is one of them, but this is not bad cheesy. This is just delightful cheesy. The whole juvenile delinquent thing from the 1950s is just so much fun. And Russ Tamblyn is such a campy guy. I don't know if he intended to. Jackie Coogan shows up in this as a drug kingpin. The whole thing is just really, really fun. And you even get some Jerry Lee Lewis music in this. So I would say knock yourselves out. It's a lot of fun. High School Confidential, one of the better juvenile delinquent movies of the 1950s.
Well, I like Reefer Madness.
You know what? Good double feature. Reefer Madness should be on the shorts bill ahead of this.
Well, you can do that, or you can have a triple feature.
Yes.
Of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh yeah.
Cinderella.
Yes.
And now,
yay!
Diamond Edition. Finally.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty from 1959. This obviously is it's a classic. Sleeping Beauty. It's a beautiful film. It was shot in 70.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a widescreen film. It's a beautiful film. The Tchaikovsky score is, of course, unforgettable, and it's just great. I mean, it took them. This, of course, is while Walt Disney was alive, and he had a lot of input into it. This movie came out in '59. It was pretty much. It took almost 10 years to make, because again, everything was hand drawn. In fact, this film was, I believe, the last, not the second to last, but I think the last Disney film where even the cells were drawn by hand. Because normally what they would do is they would draw things on paper, and then they would transfer and then they'd be redrawn on cells, on like the plastic. I don't know what they call it, whatever cells.
Yeah.
After Sleeping Beauty, that was all done in another process that was less labor intensive.
Yeah.
But Sleeping Beauty was the last one where not only was each frame drawn on paper as a reference, but they were also drawn on the hand cells.
Do you think that the reason this is being released now has anything to do with Angelina Jolie in basically playing?
The thing is that if
do you think that's a coincidence that they're?
You know what I'm going to say? It's not a coincidence, because if it was, if they were really being mercenary about it, they would have done it a few months ago.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Now it's like you kind of look at, that's right. She's the one with Angelina Jolie. Yeah. So I'm not sure about that, but I will say that it looks beautiful. It's got a lot of great extras. It's got like all these deleted scenes, 3 deleted scenes, which is great. I just think this thing is a total must-buy, especially if you have kids. So I would go ahead and check out the Diamond editions of all 3. Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. They're just our absolute all-time classics.
Sweet. All right, we got some manufacture-on-demand titles to talk about. Most of them are Warner Archive. We got one from 20th Century Fox, and this one I really is a pleasant surprise. A lot of the Fox stuff is kind of hit and miss. This is a Frank Tashlin title, and we love Frank Tashlin because Frank Tashlin was just so incredibly funny. Came out of animation and went on to do a lot of great Jerry Lewis movies, among others. And this is called The Lieutenant Wore Skirts. Not just wore a skirt, the Lieutenant wore skirts. So it's not a cross-dressing movie. It's basically about a woman who is, in fact, a lieutenant, a former lieutenant, and she's afraid that her husband is going to be inducted back into the service, so she re-enlists. But then when he doesn't get in, she winds up being assigned to Hawaii, and he has to follow her, and it's a lot of fun. Great cast here. Rita Moreno, Rick Jason, who I've always enjoyed, Les Tremaine, Alice Reinhart. This is really fun. And, of course, the 2 leads, Tom Ewell and Sherry North. Sherry North, not really on anybody's radar anymore, was really wonderful at the time. And so was Tom Ewell. So, they've kind of vanished, and they're not really names anymore, and, as a result, the movie kind of fell off the radar. But it's worth rediscovering just because Frank Tashlin is just... He has such a light touch. It's a wonderful light touch, and that's really a nice surprise. And then from the great people at the Warner Archive Collection, who we continue to be just enthralled by, we have once again, Mark, Russ Tamblyn.
What?
Russ Tamblyn in another one of his very, very memorable parts. This is a super young Russ Tamblyn, by the way. I mean, shockingly young. And this is from an Allied Artists film called The Young Guns. Young Guns we always associate with the more recent films, Emilio Estevez and all the rest of them in the Young Guns, but this is the original Young Guns. And Tamblyn is not really campy here. I kind of enjoy this. It's nice to see where he came from. This is one of those seminal youth films that sort of helped start the ball rolling on that whole youth movement of the 50s. And the most interesting thing here is it's directed by Albert Band, who, of course, Albert Band went on to become this, independent fixture, this name associated with B-movies and exploitation films and, independent films. And then here we also have, look who stars in this movie. Mark, who's the star of this movie?
Russ Tamblyn?
It's a Russ Tamblyn day.
Wow.
This is less interesting, I think. This is Son of a Gunfighter, and the pun of the title I almost think I enjoy the pun of the title. Son of a Gunfighter. Fairly routine Western here. Again, this is primarily for Russ Tamblyn fans. I think Young Guns is a better movie, but if you're a Russ Tamblyn fan, you'll enjoy this. Fernando Rey is fun to watch in this as well. Moving quickly through these, let's see. Then we also have, before I get to the really important stuff, The Lusty Men, which is just great because it's, who the lusty men are here?
Russ Tamblyn?
Well, Robert Mitchum is always lusty. And Arthur Kennedy is always lusty. So Arthur Kennedy and Robert Mitchum are the lusty men. I mean, it's just great. And who are they lusting after?
Russ Tamblyn.
No, we're done with Russ Tamblyn. They're lusting after Susan Hayward, who's just great. And I love Susan Hayward, always love Susan Hayward. This is directed by Nicholas Ray, who, of course, did Rebel Without a Cause and many other fine films. And this is a rodeo story. And if you're going to be a lusty man, you might as well be a lusty man who wrestles cows and rides horses and does all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Susan Hayward is just fantastic in this. She's married to Arthur Kennedy, and
hey Wade.
Yes,
Russ Tamblyn.
Thank you. Very funny. And it's just a really good rodeo story. It's just it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I always enjoy really good rodeo stuff. And then the films I really want to talk about are the two versions of the Desert Song. There is the original Desert Song and then the new Desert Song, both of them in glorious Technicolor. The first one with Dennis Morgan and Irene Manning, and then the somewhat more famous one, the new Desert Song with Katherine Grayson and Gordon McRae. You know what? Both of these are, I think, really worth checking out. The Sigmund Romberg, Oscar Hammerstein light musical, light opera, operetta, whatever you want to call it, from 1926, is really very little known today. Most people have completely forgotten about it. I used to listen to this score when I was growing up over and over and over because I had this compilation set of records, LPs. No, of LPs when I was growing up that were all, light operas and operettas and classic stuff because my parents were really into that, and I fell in love with all these things. And this was one of my favorites. And I think the 1953 film, the later one, is certainly one of is the better of the two, the more enjoyable. But I love them both. I watch them back to back, and they're just great. They're really, really delightful. And I have another story about this too. One reason why I am particularly fond of this remake, the producer of the 1953 film was one of my old professors, Rudy Fair. Rudy Fair, one of the great editors of all time.
He was?
He was. Rudy Fair did Key Largo.
Ooh.
And he also edited Prizzi's Honor.
Oh, really?
That's the range of Rudy Fair. Rudy Fair, and Rudy Fair is a wonderful, he was, he's just an old German guy, a little kind of roly old German guy, and he was just I learned so much from him as far as editing is concerned. Really instructive. And Rudy ran production or post-production, I think it was, at Warner Brothers at a certain point. This is one of his handful of credits as a producer. And it's a wonderful film. It's just absolutely fantastic. A great musical, and certainly one that doesn't feel quite as realistic given the given political situations in the world today. But never mind, it doesn't need to. Here's my other Rudy Fair story. Do you know how Marnie Nixon wound up being the singing voice of Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady?
I think there was a lot of lesbianism involved.
Yeah, exactly.
During pictures,
That's right.
Possibly
sure.
Russ Tamblyn.
Yeah, of course. No, it was because they were all sitting around watching dub tests of different voices to see who would match the best and who sounded the best. And at a certain point, Jack Warner just threw his hands in the air and just said, "Damn it, I don't know. You decide, Rudy." And he walked out of the room, and Rudy got to make the call. And Rudy picked Marnie Nixon.
Ooh, and history was made.
History was made.
And by the way, when Jack Warner threw his hands in the air, how could he catch his hands when he doesn't have hands? See, he throws them in the air, but he doesn't have hands.
You miss those.
Can't catch it.
You miss
because
those
there's
details.
the comedy right there. Do we not have a Vox Box, Wade?
We do have a Vox Box. We'll do it. We'll do it. No, in a moment. We'll do it right in just just a moment.
So close.
Lastly, we got a couple releases from Film Chest. Fear in the Night and Quicksand. And these are both restored old classics from Film Chest. Film Chest finds this stuff that nobody ever else seems to be able to find. I don't know what their process is. Both of these are very nicely restored. Both are very, very short, under 80 minutes, both of them. The lesser of the two is probably Fear in the Night, which is kind of a sort of standard issue noir that is distinguished only because it has Dr. McCoy in it. Well, not as
Kelly.
Not as Dr. McCoy. It's just he shows up and you go, "It's McCoy."
Awesome.
Which is the way I always feel about his westerns. He did a handful of westerns,
Sure.
and every time I see one of those things, and you're watching it, it just takes you right out of the movie.
I know,
it
poor
just
guy.
rips you straight out of the movie. You just go, "Wait a minute, is this a Star Trek episode?" And then the reason that you want to watch Quicksand is because, darn it all, Mickey Rooney is so much fun to watch because he's such a ham. And he's really good in this. This is not one of those few. It's a straight up, really serious crime film. This is a noir as well. And he plays this auto mechanic who goes on a date with a little bit of borrowed money from his boss, and then things just go completely haywire. It's very, as many noirs are. He's an average guy who's drawn into a whole series of crazy stuff. But darn it all, Mickey Rooney. He's Mickey Rooney. He's the greatest star in the world.
He was the greatest star from 1939 to 1940, spanning 2 decades.
Okay.
That was a Simpsons quote.
All right. And now, Mark, you can do it.
Really?
Do it. Me.
Hello, Wade and Mark. It's your old pal, Lance Taylor. 2 questions for you today. 1492, Conquest of Paradise, the early 90s Ridley Scott film. Where the hell is that movie? I mean, where is it on Blu-ray or DVD? I don't think it's ever been released on DVD in America. I've never seen it available, and certainly not the Blu-ray is available, so what's the deal with that? Also, any word on Star Trek Deep Space Nine heading to Blu-ray? I've checked online and I really can't find anything indicating when that might be, if it'll be. I hope it will be, by the way. And also Star Trek Voyager, ditto for that. So what do you have for me, guys? And remember, for all of your tailoring and lancing needs, Okay.
Yes, all your lancing and tailoring needs. Where'd my microphone go? Oh, there it is. There's my microphone. This is how professional we are. So Lance, oddly enough, Lance asks about all Paramount titles, which is interesting. As far as the Deep Space Nine and Voyager stuff, that will eventually come out on Blu-ray. Paramount has no answers for any of that stuff. There's obviously a timetable. They obviously know that they think certain titles have more juice on Blu-ray or whatever than others. And so I guess once we get all of the... because they're now basically doing the what was the first the thing with the other Star Trek series, the last one that they did.
You mean the one with Scott Bakula?
Yeah, what was that?
It was Star Trek.
Whatever that thing.
The first ship that goes.
Exactly.
Zoom.
Well, anyway, we're doing Next Generation slowly but surely, and then the Scott Bakula thing we're doing, and then I guess the other stuff.
Enterprise.
Enterprise. Yeah. There it is. First Contact kept coming to my head.
Oh,
I knew that
movie.
wasn't right. So anyway, I guess they have their own timetable. 1492 is the most interesting omission there is. And here's the thing with 1492. Nobody really has a straight-up answer on that, other than the fact that the film really tanked. And nobody really wants to do much with it.
Yeah, but look at like Kingdom of Heaven. I mean, they went nuts on that 75 times on Blu-ray and DVD.
I know. Well, 1492 didn't really. It was a huge underperformer, and as we all know with Paramount, they really don't care about their library. They really don't. Once something is 6 months old, they like turn it over to Warner Brothers and say, "Here, you exploit it." There's really no interest over there in anything other than Transformers and who knows whatever else. And 1492 just is not on their radar. I think that's something that may wind up being a Warner Brothers handled thing, because Warner Brothers is doing a lot of the work on the Paramount library titles that Paramount just refuses to do. So I would suspect that the people at Warner Brothers are like, they're not doing anything with this, let's run with it. So you have to wait for the Warner Brothers people to help the Paramount people out, because the culture at Paramount is anti-library these days. And that's even a film that's not that old. It's from the 90s. It's I just think it's off their radar, and that's the same reason it's not on DVD. It really is a tremendous omission. I did the press junket for that thing. I remember it really, really well. I remember sitting around and telling some very funny jokes with Depardieu in French that nobody other than the screenwriter understood, because she's also French. And it was a really fun press junket.
Well,
that was a really fun junket. And a good film, too. Not the greatest film, but a good film.
Well, if you remember, there was another Columbus film that came out around the same time.
Yes,
that was the Brando thing.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was the right. Hang on, don't stop the recording.
No, it's the Dino De Laurentiis produced thing.
Yes,
which was what was it called? It had George Corrifus playing. Columbus.
Hang on,
I can't even
we're
remember
getting
the title
there.
of it.
Don't stop the recording. Start talking.
It was probably just Christopher Columbus.
It could have been.
Whatever it was. Anyway, that was dreadful. 1492 was the better film. But Depardieu speaking English kind of sabotaged it a little bit, I think. Anyway,
I'm trying to find the.
But it really is. It's like people ask that all the time, and it's interesting. We have a new thread on the Facebook page about movies that are on. What are your favorite movies that you wish come out on Blu-ray soon? What are the best films that are not yet out on Blu-ray? And I think it's time we might do a Why the Hell Isn't It on Blu-ray? Remember our old poll, Why the Hell Isn't It on DVD? Might be time to do that.
Ooh, we haven't done that in years.
I haven't done that in years. And really, it's true. 1492 is right up there. I mean, that is just a glaring omission. And I love the music. I'm a huge Vangelis nut. I love the score. I think it's a great score. I mean, it was the first time that Ridley Scott went back to Vangelis for a score since Blade Runner. There are all kinds of reasons to.
Christopher Columbus: The Discovery.
Yes, that was it.
John Glenn.
That was dreadful. Anyway.
Oh, it did have Marlon Brando. I was right.
Well, Brando's in it, but he doesn't play Columbus.
No.
Yeah.
It was
Anyway.
directed by John Glenn, who directed a couple of James Bond films. It was Brando. Oh, that's right. Brando played Torquemada, the one who sort of sends him on his way.
Yeah.
And then Tom Selleck was in it for some reason, playing King Ferdinand. And George Coraface played.
Who was supposed to be
Chris Baby.
His career just got burned. Coraface, however you pronounce it. He was supposed to be the star.
It can't be Coraface. There's no way.
Well, he's Greek. He was
supposed
Greek.
He's Greek. It might be Coraface.
So he was supposed to be the star of Nostromo, David Lean's final film.
Really?
And then David Lean died. And I told you, I saw the production boards for that thing when I toured the offices in Paris, when they were on the verge of greenlighting it. And man, that was going to be one hell of a film.
He still works.
Oh, I know he still works.
He still works back in his native.
But he could have been the next. He could have been the next David Lean star. He could have been the next Peter O'Toole, the next Omar Sharif. He would have had that cachet, and it just didn't happen. Anyway.
Turns out he's a loser like the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, anyway. All right. So great. Thank you, Lance. All our tailoring and Lansing needs. Thanks, Lance. Great Voxbox question. Really a good one. And no, stop.
We did it already.
So let's wrap things out now with we got so much to get. You know what? I'm going to do some. May I do some British television?
Oh, yes.
Do you want to take a nap?
I'm going to say yes to that because you finally saved that crap to the end of the show, where it belongs, not the beginning of the show. where everybody gets turned off.
Yes. So you know what? There's a wonderful series that was originally aired on BBC. I've got 3 seasons of it right here, or 3 series of it, as they say in the UK. This is from BFS, and it is The Indian Doctor. This is really a terrific show. This is from the mid-'90s, and it takes place in the 1960s when a lot of Indian doctors were part of this kind of emigration when they came to the UK because they needed doctors, and the health minister in the UK kind of put the call out, and so these Indians, a lot of these Indian doctors, they go to try to find themselves work in the UK, and that's basically what this is. He winds up in this coal mining town in Wales, and it's a little bit of a fish out of water, but it's lovely, and it's really well acted. Sanjeev Bhaskar and Ayesha Darkar star in it as the doctor and his wife, and it is not like Green Acres. It is not like
Green Eggs and Ham.
It is not like Northern Exposure, even though there's a little bit of a similarity to Northern Exposure. I mean, the plot is Northern Exposure-ish, but it's a lovely show. It's really fun. It's really well written. Some great acting. A lot of people who've become significant actors in British television and films now start here, and it's totally cool. Check it out. It's The British Doctor, or The Indian Doctor from on BBC. And then we have Breathless, which is a kind of the UK attempt at doing a Mad Men type thing. It's like Mad Men meets Grey's Anatomy. It takes place in 1961 in a hospital, continuing our British 1960s medical theme. And the issue here is not so charming. This is really kind of pushing a lot of socio-political buttons. At the time, abortion was illegal, and it was really the pill had not become yet common use. So you've got this OBGYN unit that is dealing with obviously a lot of things in the society and the political undercurrents that have huge ramifications. And obviously, you get a lot of the usual stuff that you get in television. There's a lot of dishonesty and deception and people having affairs and whatnot. And Jack Davenport, who was previously in Coupling and has aged very well, is really good here, much better than he was in Coupling. This is like, I want to see him start doing features. And he, of course, is the head OBGYN surgeon here, and Natasha Little plays his wife. And Ian Glenn does a really good job here as well, who shows up in all kinds of great British movies and television shows all the time. So definitely check this out. This is a beautiful Blu-ray from PBS, Breathless. Definitely check that out. And then real quickly, just getting through this, we've got Season 2 of Scott and Bailey, which is that really fun kind of Cagney and Lacey type British procedural. That continues to be really fun to watch. DCI Banks, based on the Inspector Banks novels. This is Season 2 of that. That continues to be a really, really solid show, incredibly well written. Season 1 of Father Brown, another one of these mystery-solving clerics. There are a lot of those in Father Dowling Mysteries is sort of the American version of that. Well, that was good. No. And, Cadfael, the medieval monk who solves crimes. There's a lot of these.
Medieval monk who solves crimes?
Yeah.
That just sounds horrible.
It was Derek Jacobi. You saw that, didn't you, Cadfael? It's fantastic.
No, I didn't. Why would I see that?
Because there's no CSI stuff going on. There's no forensics. He's got to be, smart because it's medieval. Oh, stop. Anyway, Father Brown, Season 1. This is based on the books of G.K. Chesterton, so that's another fine British procedural. That's really fun. And Republic of Doyle, Season 2, which is another really, really good procedural. Continues to be a lot of fun to watch. Let's see. Here we go. Now we get into the real stuff. The Saint, Set 1. This is not the Roger Moore The Saint, obviously, nor is it the one from the 70s that followed it. This is 3 feature-length movies on 3 discs. Starring Simon Dutton, who I never realized ever played Simon Templar. I had no idea that Simon Dutton was one of the long line of people playing Simon Templar. Way better, obviously, than the horrible, horrible movie that starred that guy who played Batman and The Doors. What's his name?
Jim Morrison, Val Kilmer.
That guy. Yeah, let's not speak his name. No, this is from the late '80s. And honestly, why, if I could just detour for a second, why did Val Kilmer even... He's not British. It was the worst movie ever.
But the fact that an actor is not the same nationality as the character he's playing is not unique.
No, it's a British character. It would be like if
No, that's
freaking
not
Brad
true.
Pitt played James Bond.
Why not?
No, it's wrong.
Not wrong.
Freaking
You know what?
wrong.
Alfred Molina played Tevye.
Look,
okay, I can handle that. Okay, it's fine.
Look, it would be like if they went and got like a British actor to play Abraham Lincoln.
That's fine. Exactly.
Or,
Imagine that happening.
Or if they got like a British actor to play Superman.
Wow.
Or Batman.
That would never happen.
Or Spider-Man.
Never
Spider-Man.
Never happen. Never happen.
Just as wrong.
It'd be horrible. When would that ever happen? In what world do you live in when that would ever happen?
Okay.
See, you just proved yourself wrong.
I know, whatever. So anyway, to hell with Val Kilmer. I saw Val Kilmer play Moses.
I know. You know what? Go ahead and say what happened. It was the last show,
it's
right?
just hysterical. I can't get over it. He's like winking and waving at his friends in the audience. He knew it was a train wreck. It was all over. Didn't have to actually play it serious anymore. It was done. Hey, who loves you?
He didn't do that.
He did pretty close. He did this. Hey. He was like shooting the old Babe Ruth pointing thing.
Calling the shot.
Calling the shot. Anyway, Bax, enough of that. Okay, so he whose name will not be spoken anymore. Simon Dutton, really good actor. Never realized that he played Simon Templar because this was completely off my radar. So thanks to the people at Acorn, we now get the first set of this late 80s incarnation of the Saint, and it's really good. It might be the best version of it that I've seen since, obviously, Roger Moore. And it's well written, and it's got a lot of great guest stars, and it's good. So you can check that out. And then Doctor Who: Deep Breath, as we now enter the Peter Capaldi era of Doctor Who, and it's good. Capaldi's good, man. Have you been?
I love him. He's great.
He's really good. It's like he's reinvigorated. He's made Doctor Who again. Like it was this cavalcade of guys.
Sorry, Wade.
It's been this like 30, 40-year cavalcade of guys who are younger and cooler and hipper, and suddenly he's just badass. He's like a serious Doctor Who again.
That's right.
It's cool.
Yep, he's great.
It's back to the roots. So check it out. That's on Blu-ray from BBC, and really well written and totally solid. And Peter Capaldi just is. He brings gravitas, man. The guy is a heavyweight. He's just a great actor. And that's going to propel him to bigger things. You watch, when his run as Doctor Who is over in 4 or 5 years, however long he does it, you watch. He's going to start doing some big Hollywood stuff. He's going to win an Oscar.
Like
Peter Capaldi, you heard it here.
Benedict Cumberbatch, he was Doctor Who.
He was. And he was sure.
And
he's still Sherlock.
And now look at him, he's disappeared.
I'm going to tell you, he stands a very good chance of winning an Oscar for Best Actor.
For Imitation
this year.
Game?
Mm-hmm. He stands a very good chance. That thing is ripping it up. That came out of Toronto just with guns a-blazing.
People loved it.
Guns a-blazing. And then we also get The Great Train Robbery with Jim Broadbent and Luke Evans, a 2-disc British television production from Screen Yorkshire that's really, really solid. This is not about the Great Train Robbery that the American.
That's not the Edwin Porter 1902.
No, or the Sean Connery thing that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. The Michael Crichton directed. That incident. This takes place in 1963 when the Royal Mail train that runs from Glasgow to London got hijacked. And millions of dollars or millions of pounds were swiped. This is that event. And it's really well written. Jim Broadbent is terrific. The production value is fantastic. It's just really, really good. So that's worth checking out. Jim Broadbent can just do no wrong. And then lastly, a Three Pines mystery, Still Life. Louise Penny, somebody who wrote novels that I should know about. I don't really. Apparently, she wrote a bestseller. That's what this is based on, and it's a good mystery. I wouldn't call it a great mystery, but it all kind of. It's a little Twin Peaksy. It's all centered around the town of Three Pines, and it's got a nice little style to it. So if you're a mystery fan, that's one that's worth checking out, I suppose. So Mark, shall we get into some television?
Yes, we should, Wade. The
All
Wolverine collection. Can't say I watched all 5 of these. I did skim all of them, but and they're all varying degrees of quality and badassery. We have 5 movies here: Ultimate Wolverine versus the Hulk, Wolverine Origin, Wolverine X-Weapon, Wolverine versus Sabretooth, Wolverine versus Sabretooth Reborn. And, I have to say that I do like the fact that these movies are pretty intense. It's pretty violent, pretty intense. It's not like candy cartoon time that you get with some of the other, like, Spider-Man type comic. The thing with comic books nowadays that I don't read comic books anymore, but I do, like, sometimes I'll look and see. The artwork now in comic books is very, like, childish.
Yeah.
They're not, like, adult, badass.
No.
I want adult. I don't want, like, poppy comic books. I want Spider-Man to be badass.
I agree with you.
I want Wolverine to be badass all the time.
I'm down with you.
So that's why I do kind of appreciate these movies. So if you're into the Wolverine, check out the Wolverine collection from the good folks at Shout Factory. They're good. Bonus interviews with a bunch of guys who work at Marvel and who are involved in the making of these movies. So check it out.
And then we have a bunch of stuff from Timeless. Timeless has a lot of great classic TV and primarily Western titles. And we have another super Western title coming up that we'll get to in just a moment. But the 6 seasons of A Haunting, I was like, a haunting? How is it? I'm a TV nerd. This should have been on my radar at some point. Never heard of this show. Never heard of this. You ever heard of this series, A Haunting?
I have not.
I haven't either. Totally, completely off my radar. 53 episodes. Timeless went and dug this thing up, and you know what? It's not bad. It's one of these. It's a documentary series, a little bit like In Search Of. Does that remember In Search Of? And you basically
I can sing the song if you like.
Do it.
Da, na, na, na,
Thank you. Okay, enough. That's all I need to know.
na, na, na.
Okay, I was just testing. Fine. That was. Well, anyway,
That was the song.
So basically, this is like an anthology documentary series about hauntings, and you get pretty decent reenactments on most of these, and a lot of it you go bogus, and some of it you go, that's really interesting. I think I'd like to learn more about that. Anyway, it's pretty sharp if you're into that kind of stuff. This was a bit of a bigger deal in the 80s and 90s, these kinds of TV shows. But anyway, A Haunting, the television series, 6 seasons, 53 episodes. It's not bad. And then also from Timeless, we have NBC Western TV Legends. The Virginian, Wagon Train, Laredo, and Laramie, the premiere episodes of all 4 of them, which is meant to kind of bolster your interest in the series so that when they come out with complete seasons, you will want to buy all the complete seasons. So this is a little bit of a tease, but you know what? All 4 of these are really decent shows, and the Wagon Train obviously is the more important one because it directly inspired Star Trek. And then Once Upon a Starry Night is a Grizzly Adams adventure. It's Dan Haggerty as Grizzly Adams. Whatever happened to Dan Haggerty, by the way? Do we know?
Dan Haggerty?
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Did he
die?
die?
I think he died. I'll look that up right now.
Yeah, find out. Just curious. Anyway, you know what?
Still around. He's 72 years old.
Well, good for him. Maybe he can do another Grizzly Adams TV movie. I don't know. Anyway,
that's all he ever did.
I know. That's all I ever heard of him doing. But anyway, this is from the late 70s, and it's sweet. He helps a little boy and girl, and he's Grizzly Adams. What can I tell you?
He was an easy rider.
Was he really?
He was.
I didn't realize that. We also have the Gene Autry collection, number 7, which on 2 DVDs, which is 4 Gene Autry movies that are all kind of the same. But if the whole singing cowboy thing kind of floats your boat, and if you love the if you like the world that these guys inhabit, which is a little bit not even remotely realistic, fine. And then an interesting series, State Trooper. Is interesting. I remember this kind of predates me, and I remember hearing about it, never really saw it. And this is 104 episodes, which is a long show for that time, that is based on actual cases, kind of like Adam 12 was based on actual or allegedly actual LAPD cases. This is actually from the Nevada State Police. So they went and Dragnet was another one of those. That was the thing at the time, right? Let's go and find actual real cases and base it on it. Anyway, so you got a lot of crap going on for 104 episodes in Nevada, a place that's otherwise barren. A lot of junk going on there. But Rod Cameron plays the main officer here, the Nevada state trooper who has to go and fight crime in the Silver State. Dan Haggerty also shows up in this, and a lot of great guest stars, actually. I mean, Lee Van Cleef is in this, and Claude Akins. DeForest Kelley shows up again and takes you completely out of it, and you go, it's Dr. McCoy in Nevada. I thought he was in space. And Michael Landon and Richard Farnsworth, all the people who have kind of a Western pedigree from doing all those Western movies. And then lastly here, Mark, as long as we're on the Western thing, Daniel Boone, the complete series, 36 discs, 6 seasons, finally out from 20th. And this has been out before, but it was out in these little seasonal increments from another distributor who will not be named, and the transfers were not quite as spectacular as they should have been. I grew up with this series. I loved this series. Fess Parker was the man, and this finally looks the way that it needs to look. This is absolutely fantastic. This is a beautiful, beautiful, big old fat box set, 36 discs, and every single episode of Daniel Boone, one of the great TV Western series of all time. And I'm not going to sing the theme. I know you just sang the theme for In Search Of. I'm not going to sing the theme for Daniel Boone, but I will tell you this. Daniel Boone was a man. Yes, a big man. And he killed him in a bar when he was only 3.
That show sucked.
You didn't get the joke there. I'm mixing up Fess Parker songs. Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone.
You know what? I will pay $500 million to the first person who listens to our show
who knew what I was talking about.
Fess Parker, Daniel Boone. No idea.
Fess Parker played Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett.
Oh my God! He was
so
a man of
I fused the 2 songs. The
kind
Daniel
of
Boone
like
theme
J.J.
song.
Abrams directs Star Trek
Davy
and Star Wars.
Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone. Never mind.
See, like J.J. Abrams does Star Trek and Star Wars. See, that brings it back to us, what we care about,
okay,
not
fine.
Fess Parker.
Whatever. Okay.
Wait, there's a show called CatDog. This is about this weird, disgusting, grotesque.
It's the worst
creature. It's actually in another world. This reminds me of that. Do you remember that scene in The Fly where the fly gets into the contraption with like another animal?
Yeah.
And then it comes out as like this disgusting, grotesque thing, and Jeff Goldblum has to shoot it.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's what this is. This is the cartoon version of that.
Ugh.
It's about this animal who is half cat, half dog. And this is the complete series. 68 episodes on DVD. It's made for kids. It's got some jokes in there for the adults, at least from what I saw. But I have to say there's so many other animated shows there. By the way, you realize last Saturday, a week from whenever we're shooting this, taping this, a week from yesterday, whatever it is, was the first Saturday in 30 years where there were no animated Saturday morning cartoons on the
I know. I read that and I wanted to cry.
Isn't that crazy?
It's the worst.
I think it'll come around again just for mercenary purposes. They'll find some show that'll be worth it on a Saturday morning.
It's the worst.
But yeah, you know why? Because viewers get their animated fix from 1,000 other outlets.
It's a tragedy. Okay, you know what? We have a little bit of time left, so I am going to do a giant plug for myself.
You're going to plug yourself?
I'm going to plug myself. You know why? Because I got an audio commentary on a DVD, on a Blu-ray this week. Andy and I did the commentary for Nightcap, otherwise known as Merci pour le chocolat, another Claude Chabrol thriller from Cohen.
Wait! We actually have a clip from that. Let's roll that.
No,
clip
we don't
right
actually.
My name's Wade Major, and I like movies, and this movie has people in it, and people are nice. Hi.
So,
did you really say that? I can't believe
I
you
sure
so
did. Yes, I absolutely did. So anyway, the commentary is really amazing. Did I mention how amazing the commentary is? No, this was a really fun film to do. Cohen's Blu-ray of Nightcap, the Claude Chabrol thriller, otherwise known as Merci pour le chocolat. And this is one of the best roles you will ever see Isabelle Huppert in. Jacques Dutronc plays a concert pianist, but a fairly sickly concert pianist, who has remarried to Isabelle Huppert. I won't give you all the details on the actual...
No, please wait. Give us all the details.
Well, I won't give you all the details on how that the relationship and what... Anyway, she's a chocolate heiress. And that means that she's a crazy chocolate heiress. And you should be very careful if she wants to serve you hot chocolate because you don't know what's in it. And it's truly one of Claude Chabrol's most Hitchcockian thrillers. It's a lot of fun. It's really well written. The acting is great. Dutronc is fantastic. Isabelle Huppert is just the most lethal, cold-blooded, psychotic femme fatale you will ever see. She's so good at it. She's brilliant. You absolutely want to check it out. And we had a blast with that commentary. It's a lot of fun to talk about. A couple other Coen releases this week that are really worth checking out. The 30th anniversary edition of Favorites of the Moon by Otar Ayoseliani, which won I think it was a special jury prize or a grand jury prize, either one of the two, at the Venice Film Festival 30 years ago. It is a terrific comedy from 1984. And definitely worth watching, especially if you like Ayoseliani films. It's beautiful. And then my pick of the week, actually, even more than the one with our commentary, more than Nightcap, is Queen Margot, the 20th anniversary director's cut. I'm terribly, terribly sad that Patrice Chéreau has passed away, the director, and no longer able to do commentary work and whatnot. But this is just brilliant. The film was released in a hacked version, a chopped up version by the Weinsteins when it was released in the U.S. 20 years ago. I fortunately saw the original cut because I was at Cannes that year, and the one that just wowed everybody. And it's a fantastic story. Vincent Perez, Daniel Auteuil, and the wonderful Isabelle Adjani as Queen Margot, and probably like her last really great performance. The whole thing takes place in the late 16th century. It's a famous story, and it's all about it. It sort of is about the Queen Margot, who is caught in this marriage of convenience to a Huguenot, a Protestant Huguenot, played by Daniel Auteuil, and Vincent Perez plays her lover. The warring between Catholics and Protestants, the famous, I think it's St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, where Catholics went and slaughtered Protestants all over Paris. All of that is depicted in this amazing, amazing drama. It is a wonderful, wonderful film. And that's it. So we're running out of time. But the 20th anniversary director's cut on Blu-ray, this film has never looked better. And it is so much better than the truncated version that was released theatrically here. Let me see if there's anything we can kind of wrap out with that. So we're right around the end of the show. Mark, a couple of final documentary things.
Yes, ma'am.
PBS. We got some good stuff from PBS real quickly.
PB&J?
Vaccines, calling the shots. We got Ebola on the shores now, finally. There's no vaccine for Ebola, but there are vaccines for other things. Get vaccinated, people. Enough with all of this, like, I don't want to get vaccinated because it's the 21st century and that's just so 20th century.
I got my flu vaccine.
Get vaccinated.
I got my flu shot.
Don't be crazy.
That's kind of a vaccine.
Don't jeopardize your fellow man with, diseases that you're going to acquire because you have some weird new age idea about vaccinations. Forget it. 40th anniversary of Watergate. We have Dick Cavett's Watergate. Did you know that Dick Cavett covered Watergate on the Dick Cavett Show?
Well, I know he discussed it because he discussed everything. He's a smart man.
Well,
I didn't know he was specifically involved with Watergate.
This is from WNET, and it's an hour-long compilation of Dick Cavett's basically looking at Watergate through Dick Cavett's eyes. Gosh, I miss Dick Cavett.
He's one of our true polymaths.
And then the other thing in the news lately is ISIS, not the Saturday morning TV show from my childhood, but those crazies who keep beheading people. Losing Iraq is a Frontline documentary about everything that went wrong. It will make you ask more questions than anything else, but it's worth watching. And with that, we're done.
We're done? Raggy?